Hello everybody, my name's Chili's. Welcome on everybody to my Spectacular Spider-Man review. Here's the thing everybody, it's Spectacular Spider-Man. I've watched the show on YouTube, you can watch it right now on YouTube, it's free. Both 2 seasons. And I gotta say this could have been my number one favorite superhero animated TV show. It was just that damn good. If this show wasn't canceled and if Disney didn't bet and Sony didn't have that dispute of Spider-Man and they about the rights and all that stuff, we probably wouldn't have we probably would have had all the Spectacular Spider-Man season, and it was just amazing. 13 episodes each season, 26 episodes, way too damn short. I love this show. This could have been my number one favorite show. This could have beat X-Men Evolution and Spider-Man, but right now it's my third favorite show. But I love this show for many things. And it separates itself from the 1990s animated Spider-Man a bit. One, Peter Parker is basically in his first year as Spider-Man. He's going to high school. His best friend is Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy. And he's what I love, before I get more into the story, what I love about the show is the side characters and Peter's relationship with them in high school. It's a high school teen drama in many cases, but it builds up characters. It builds up storylines. Flash Thompson and Peter Parker's relationship. Flash, who loves Spider-Man but hates Peter and bullies him. And then you got Liz, who was actually a good girlfriend of Peter and all that stuff. And she's a freaking cheerleader. She doesn't want to be with the nerd, but then she eventually goes with him and all that stuff. So it was a very interesting relationship between Liz and Peter. I really find Liz a great supporting character. She really grew. She wasn't that typical girlfriend that, I'm texting and all that stuff, and then she's not like paying attention to her boyfriend and all that stuff. But no, she was really there for him. Then you have other side characters in the school that really bring overall essence of Spider-Man really lovely. Mary Jane shows up for a couple of episodes. Well, she shows up for in the first season and in the second, and they really develop her character as well. And they could have developed her further. She was just starting off, and I absolutely love this show. I mean, there are some great characters, some great storylines. I mean, the action is awesome for us. The theme song is simply amazing. The theme song is fan-freaking-tastic. I love it right there. It's just fantastic. This show was utterly fantastic. This is possibly one of the greatest superhero shows of all time. It is one of the greatest superhero shows of all time. I will rather watch this than Arrow, than Flash, than any of those DC stupid shows right now. I would say, oh my god, this was just a fantastic show with well-developed characters. They really, really developed, like Jameson and his son, and there's a lot of things you could take from the show. The 1990s one did a lot of detail too, and there is a structure. I mean, there is an organization. There is basically everybody has a step 1, step 2, and I could tell the writers cared about the show, they cared about the characters, and they cared about where the characters were going. It's just sad to say that this show didn't get more seasons. This show was absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I have no doubt in my mind this would have been my number one favorite show if it wasn't canceled so early. Just because the reason why it's not my favorite right now is because of the fact is it ended prematurely and didn't finish the stories they wanted to tell. And I gotta say this, they did a great Norman Osborn, they did a great Harry Osborn, and they're different from the 1990s one. They did a different Eddie Brock, Venom. His relationship with Peter was very interesting, very new, very different. I like it. Peter has 3 different love interests. You got Liz, you got Liz, the cheerleader, you got Gwen Stacy, then you got Mary Jane. They really developed these relationships and these characters and just growing characters. There's actual consequences of these stories. There's actual stories like people dealing with drug issues and people losing family members and become addicted to gambling also. There's just so much stuff that was great about this. This show is a classic, and even though this was early 2000s, late 2009 and all that stuff, this was utterly fantastic show. I love this show. I think this was absolutely fantastic. There's nothing more I could say other than you gotta watch Spectacular Spider-Man. This is a must-see show. This is a lot better than most television shows now these days. And the fact is that now everything's basically you can watch online or all this stuff. I'm rewatching everything. I'm rewatching the Spider-Man series. I'm rewatching everything. I found a new love for this one. I will be reviewing Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man and all this stuff. Reviewing those shows. I got a lot to do on my list of rewatching all these shows. I'm gonna watch Superman animated series next, and then I just really gotta say, this shocked me how good it was. I remember I liked this a bit. I saw the first episode too, and I was like, that was a pretty good episode and all that stuff. But I never really got into the show during this time, with the short time it was on. And then when I rewatched it, I'm like, it's utterly fantastic. Even as adults to this day, this show is fantastic. It holds up for adults. It holds up. And everyone can say, well, this stuff's made for kids. It doesn't need to have a continued storyline and all that stuff. But that's what makes it great. There has continued storyline. There is a continuation of growth of characters. And that's what you want. Spectacular Spider-Man is simply spectacular. It is amazing. It should be considered one of the greatest TV shows of all time. It is just that damn good. It really gets the essence of Spider-Man great. There's the only other Spider-Man that could beat this is Spider-Man 19, the animated series and all that stuff. And that the reason why I put that one over Spectacular Spider-Man, because they have actually they developed their characters and they had different themes, and it was a difference Peter Parker at the time, because he ain't in high school no more. He's like in college and all that other stuff. He's a grown ass man. But for the Spider-Man for the animated series, they finished their storylines. This one, they couldn't finish their storylines. Everything's left up in the air, and people have been making fan videos and all stuff. There's just so much I could say about Spectacular Spider-Man that everybody needs to watch this show. It's absolutely fantastic. A classic. There's not more I could say other than I love this show. So, it's Spectacular Spider-Man. What y'all think? Do you think it was a great show? Do you think it was a bad show? Let me know what y'all think, everyone. I'm Jaleesa. Alright, for everybody. Bye.